Concept 2, determining the classification of all numbers. I know that last video is pretty long, so I'll try and keep this one short. You will be asked to basically fit any number into one of 3 categories: rational, irrational, or not real. Okay, and this not real is the same as imaginary from the last video. Okay, so if a number is rational, keep in mind it should be one that you can represent as a decimal that ends or a decimal that goes on forever. Okay, doesn't have to have a decimal. All of these numbers are rational. Okay, this one, scientific notation, you should see that if you wrote it out in standard notation, it would be rational, but you don't have to convert it. All right. Second category, irrational, and those are those numbers that can't be represented as a fraction or a decimal. Or a decimal that repeats or ends, right? Your decimal is going to go on forever without repeating. Pi is our big example of that. Any square root of a whole number that is not a perfect square is going to be an irrational number. And there's some other ones that we have, but you won't really see, you won't run into. Okay. And then our last category are not real numbers. They're numbers that don't really make sense. Okay, dividing by 0, that does not make sense. Having a negative square root. The square root is what number times itself equals this number. I can't have any 2 numbers that I multiply by each other that comes out with a negative number, because it's either a positive times a positive, which gives me a positive, or a negative times a negative, which gives me a positive. So this doesn't make any sense. And I is another way to represent this. 0 to the 0th power doesn't make any sense. It's not real. Infinity, okay, even though we use it and we can't really comprehend it very well, infinity is not a real number. Okay, it's an idea of a number that just keeps going and going forever. It's so large we can't even comprehend it, but it's not real. We can't really work with it. Okay, so those are the 3 categories.